Welcome
to Munda Makeover.
We have traveled all over Zambia to find hard-working farmers.
We want to share their success stories.
And where there are challenges, we will bring experts to help them gain the extra knowledge they need.
So they can adapt and make their farms more productive even while the climate changes.
We want to support them to get better yields.
And increase their income.
We will see how farmers from across the country can benefit from our experts' advice.
While also learning from each other in so many ways.
Join us on these journeys and share in the farmers' experiences as they improve their farms.
On
Munda Makeover!
Hello farmers, we're back. But before we start visiting new farms, we want to go back to the old farmers that we visited to see what happened in their farms and talk more about climate change. Last week, we ticked the things that we needed to have before we started planting. We have our soil test report and the recommended organic and synthetic fertilizers for our soils and the crop we are planting. We also have our drought-resistant seed ready. So, is this enough to give us a good yield? Some farmers that we visited are saying it's still not enough.
I want to increase my yield because it's not enough. I would like help in better farming ways and also in making our farmers' group even more productive so we can improve our work.
Our Farmer Florence is right. One of the solutions of increasing your yield is in better farming methods, especially as we look for ways to cope with climate change. We will look at a way of farming called conservation agriculture, or CA in short form. Kachanana is taking our Farmer Florence, together with our farmers group, to meet Alphonse Kahalawe from the Ministry of Agriculture to learn more.
First, tell us, what is conservation agriculture exactly?
Conservation agriculture is basically the type of agriculture that is being adopted by the Ministry of Agriculture. As you are seeing, we are coming from the Ministry of Agriculture.
Right.
Going by the change of the climate, we are trying to adapt to the change of climate. So this conservation agriculture is one way that we have used that will more like improve yields of the farmers, both in the short run and the long run. We have a number of principles, but the major ones will zero into, I think, to about 3. The first one being the minimum tillage. We are trying to reduce the disturbance of the soil. We just disturb where we do the planting.
So what do you mean not disturbing the soil? Right.
We just concentrate on where you do the planting. Because previously our parents, they were plowing even where they will not plant. And that way you are more like opening the stench and making the soil vulnerable for being eroded. So to avoid that, we've just said, let's concentrate on where you're doing the planting.
Makes sense? Let's break it down. So how you dig or plow your land matters when it comes to climate change. By digging the whole farm, you have exposed it all to the sun. This means that there's a lot more evaporation of the moisture in the soil, so your soils dry up faster. So, if the rains are not enough, your crop will die. 2. If there's too much rainfall, then your exposed soil will be easily swept away with all its nutrients. So minimum tillage helps to conserve as much moisture as possible, and your soils also remain in place in case of heavy rainfall. If there is little rain, your crop will be able to survive and give you a great yield. There are several ways of doing the minimum tillage when you're plowing your land, and more tools are being invented. You can use the hand hose to make holes or do the rip lines. You can also use animal-drawn rippers to make some rip lines. For big farms, you can use tractors that have been attached with rippers. So you can choose depending on the money you have, because some will cost a bit more but will also work faster, like the tractors. We are visiting Farmer Standwell, who's been growing his groundnuts and wants to increase his yields.
So now, I'm going to find out more about groundnut production and why they're such a good choice for our Zambian farmers. Let's go and meet our experts. He's Luke Lungu from Komako, and he's going to focus on land preparation. Before we talk about his farm, let me know, what are the benefits of groundnut farming?
By nature, groundnuts have got the ability to fix nitrogen back into the soil, being in the family of legumes. Then groundnuts is a good source of income.
Okay.
And the last one, groundnuts are easy to grow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chirwa, you've been farming groundnuts for some time. When you look at what you put in, how much did you get out?
The seed was 50 kg.
How many bags did you get out?
15 bags shelled, then plus 30 unshelled.
Mr. Luca,
Yes.
can you tell us, is this a good outcome or can we do more?
It was good.
Can we say bumper harvest?
Would say almost bumper harvest.
Almost a bumper harvest.
Yes. For him to have a bumper harvest, the first cardinal thing that he needs to work on is his land preparation.
Okay.
Yeah.
When is he supposed to start preparing his land?
Early as April, May.
Okay.
Immediately after he has harvested his maize, then he can start land preparation.
So let's see how to do it. Some of Standwell's fellow farmers are here to help us. After all, many hands make light work.
So I would need the pegs and then the measuring tapes and the rope.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you very much. We have our rope tied to one of the pegs.
Use a rope to make sure you plant in a straight line. This makes weeding easier and leaves the soil between undisturbed.
Okay, just like that. We are going to now mark the area where we are going to make our rip line.
Okay.
Because it's the first point, so we need to mark it. Make sure that
Just on the side.
Yeah.
Okay, this is simple enough.
Our rip line is supposed to be 15 centimeters deep.
Okay.
Why? Because at the 7 to 8 centimeters, there's what we call a hard pan.
Okay.
So if you don't break that, still more, even if water is collected, your crops will not have enough water during the dry spells.
So how do you know that this is actually 15 centimeters?
Well, it's very easy. Dip your hand in the rip line, then check. If the line reaches here, it means it's 15 centimeters.
When the first row is finished, move the line 45 centimeters to dig the remaining rip lines.
Yeah, so now that we are done making our rip lines,
Yes, now we're going to the next part, which is feeding the land with glycidia.
yes.
So we leave the stalks on the trees, huh?
Yeah, we just get
Just the leaves.
Yeah.
Okay, this is nice. And it's fun. I think children would enjoy doing this.
And they really
They
enjoy.
come with you, Mr. Chirwa?
Yes, Mr. Chirwa, yes.
Okay, nice.
When you want to apply glycidia leaves,
Right.
you need to have a full application. I'll apply like this.
Okay.
So now, after applying our leaves, we need now to do our backfeeding. What we want here is all the nitrogen, the potassium, the phosphorus in the green glycidia to be incorporated with the soil. Because if you leave this open, it means you lose all the nutrients that are here. Then when we do this, it means we are done.
Oh.
I can go sleep and wait for the rains to come.
Okay.
But applying of the leaves should be done a month or 3 weeks or a month before planting.
If you don't have the glycidia leaves, you can apply any of the organic fertilizer like manure or compost before planting.
Saves you money, right?
Yeah.
All this sounds good, but let's get down to the details. Let's break it down. By digging a rip line only where he's planting, Standwell will keep the moisture in the soil, so important when the rains are unreliable. And by filling the rip line with glycidia leaves, he can save money on fertilizer. Well, like you have seen, early land preparation will save you time, will save you money. It is less labor intensive and will protect your fields. And now that we've got some extra time, perhaps we can have some munkoyo, gentlemen?
Definitely.
All right,
We'll
see
go.
you.
As Kachanana goes to have some munkoyo, let's join some farmers who are planting groundnuts. Timothy Phiri from Komako is going to teach us some more.
We are being faced with climate change.
Of course.
We need also to be tactful in the way we are doing our land preparation.
Absolutely.
Yes. In situations where we receive less rains, we need to harvest the little moisture that we receive.
Exactly.
Then in cases where we have very excess rains, we should not lose our seeds when we plant them.
Indeed.
So to protect the moisture in the soil, only dig in the area where you want to plant.
You should make sure that the depth is 15 centimeters.
Okay.
Yes. When you reach 15 centimeters, you have opened up for all the bacterium that are working in this area. And this is 15 centimeters. So they have reached the depth.
Next, return the topsoil until it's about 5 centimeters below the surface, the same as the height of a matchbox.
So at this stage, even when I place my seed there, this gap is able to harvest enough water.
Right.
Then place the seeds on the top 10 centimeters apart.
So even if rains falls today, there will be a lot of moisture. Even if 4 days, 5 days, there is no rain,
Right.
at least the seeds that I have placed here, they will have enough moisture.
Cover the seed lightly with the remainder of the soil. The loose topsoil under the seed allows the roots to spread, while the soil above allows for easy germination.
So this way, it really helps us respond to climate harsh conditions.
Indeed.
When planting, spacing is very important. Correct spacing prevents the plants from competing for nutrients and moisture in the soil. So, remember, from one row of groundnuts to the next is 45 centimeters. The depth is 15 centimeters, and from seed to seed is 10 centimeters. We also have a farmer who's planning to plant maize. With climate change happening, he now wants to try out the drought-resistant variety, Pana 3M05. Our expert from CORTEVA will show us how to plant maize correctly. Planting a medium maturity maize of between 125 days to 135 days might give a good yield, but only if there's enough rainfall. Pana 3M05 is an ultra early maturing maize of between 95 and 100 days. It's drought tolerant, but still has a double cob and a projected yield of 8 tons per hectare. That's 160 50-kilo bags.
So with everything that has been said, there's only one thing left.
Okay.
For you to show us how to plant this seed.
I'll be kind.
Absolutely
I'll be
fantastic.
very kind. To even hand over the seed to you.
When growing maize, remember to prepare your fields early before the onset of the rains. It's a good idea to keep listening in to the weather forecast for your region so you can plan well. Our farmer, Abison, has already created his rip lines.
Because of climate change that we're talking about, you cut out a part of land where you're going to plant.
Right.
So that when it rains, then this row helps you with the harvesting of water.
I see.
So, a week to the start of the rains, apply your well-decomposed manure or compost together with your synthetic planting fertilizer based on your soil test report. Mix well with the soil. Put a thin layer of soil on top to avoid the fertilizer burning your seed. You can also do this process when the rains begin, but it becomes a bit messy because it gets muddy, so 1 week to the start of the rains is best. Our farmer is now ready to plant his seed.
Right. I think this looks like a very good spot for us to maybe try out this seed.
Yes,
Okay.
well prepared. The seed is perfectly sealed.
Perfectly
And our
sealed.
farmer is very assured that the seed came from the right people.
Right.
Okay, so this blue tag here will help our farmer to understand that our seed is treated
Fantastic.
with chemicals.
Okay.
Remember, when handling treated seeds, don't touch them with your bare hands. Always wear gloves.
Safety first.
Safety first.
So what do we do first?
Basically, the farmer has to prepare his field, and so the land preparation is done.
Of course.
He makes, first of all, what we call rows.
Right.
As you can see, I've come prepared. I have 2 sticks for you here.
Right.
This one is 75 centimeters.
Of course.
This one will give you the what we call the interrow
Yes.
between the lines.
Yeah. Yeah. That seems quite accurate.
We're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
This is 25 centimeters. So we're looking at the 25 centimeters as our interrow.
Right.
So in the interrow, we're looking at how do you drop the seed
Of course.
from one plant to the next.
Right.
In this case, we're looking at a small scale farmer who is not using a planter. So we will have our measurement here. We drop our first seed here.
One there.
and then we drop another seed there.
Fantastic.
So this is 25 centimeters, 25 centimeters. We'll go again with another 25 centimeters. We're advising our farmers to go in with one plant per station.
Right.
As compared to the old one where people were planting two, three. It wasn't advantaging the crop because then it was fighting for nutrients,
I see.
fighting for water, the fertilizer that you put in, of course.
Exactly.
Farmers, when buying seeds, always make sure that it is certified. This will ensure that your seed will germinate and you don't have to put more than one seed in your planting hole.
Okay. So now that we know how to plant a seed and space it, how deep do I want my seed to be?
For depth, you're looking at between 5 to 8 centimeters under the soil.
Is there a reason why I'm planting it at that shallow depth?
For you to see the seed coming out of the soil, for you to see it within 5 to 7 days,
Right.
you need that depth.
All that's left is for me to cover it up.
Cover it.
Okay. Perfect seed for the perfect climate.
I have learned a lot from Mr. Kafemba.
Yes.
I have changed from the other seed company to him. Now I'm now CORTEVA.
Now we can check
A
it.
new customer, so
It's a good business.
I'll take
Yes.
my percentage.
We are now going all the way to Easton to meet Farmer Chirwa. Chirwa is about to plant maize in a much bigger piece of land, but wants to still practice minimum tillage because of climate change. He has found a solution that is faster and better.
Sometimes I feel farmers think mechanization is not for them. It's too expensive. Some would rather trust in the old ways. But if you think the same, I think you'll be surprised by what we find out next. Our farmer Chirwa has purchased a two-wheeled tractor together with a two-row planter attachment thanks to advice he received from FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization. It's all part of a project fully funded by the European Union. So I've asked expert Male Sekeni to help us find out how this can not only increase yield, but over time can help increase profits too. This looks like some heavy machinery. I don't know if I'm strong enough to operate this on my own.
Yeah, you just need the manual, that's all. And it is user-friendly.
I can see that these planters don't necessarily look like they have your traditional disc plow. How exactly then does this work?
Yeah, if you look back, we used to use disc plows.
Yes.
In relation to the climate change and they're like.
Right.
That's why we are advocating for conservation agriculture now.
Right.
Yes, because when you use a disc plow to plow your field, you are exposing much of your land to the atmosphere, to the sun
to
rays.
the elements.
Yes. Meaning you'll be losing a lot of water during the day.
Right.
If you did the reaping, those lines will act like they are conserving moisture.
Fantastic. Mr. Chiro, have you really seen how this has improved the way you farm?
Before this, I could only manage 7 to 8 hectares. But that now after purchasing this, I'm at the range of 15 to 20 hectares.
Wow, that's a lot of hectareage.
Yeah. Another thing that is helping out our farmers, it is because he's using this to hire it out.
Right.
It is increasing income at a rapid rate because they hire on planting,
Right.
on transportation.
Right.
All these are my income.
So you're not just hiring it out on one basis.
No.
Like you said, the more you can reduce on labor, the
Yes.
more you have time to manage other activities around the homestead.
Yes, the more you have money in your pocket.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is a very, very good investment.
Yeah.
So as we prepare the tractor, let's break it down and get down to the detail. A tractor with a seed planter like this is a big investment. But think of the savings that build up over time. Labor costs can be reduced by as much as 75%. Time savings by as much as 50%. Then there is the extra income from hiring the tractor out, as well as savings in seeds and fertilizer, as we will see now. And here it is in action. This looks amazing. I can see the tractor is very busy already. The man looks like a professional. He's just riding it very easily. Yeah? Usually I see these tractors with one planter, but you've got two planters attached. Huh?
The two planters at a time reduces time.
Yeah, so you work twice as fast.
Yes. One movement, it has the 2 rows.
Exactly.
Second movement, 4 rows.
I see, exactly. How does this thing work?
Those yellow containers, we put fertilizer.
Right.
The red container is where we put the seed.
Right. So what does the first blade do?
Break the ground and the chaps so that they can disturb the planting system there.
Breaking through the ground and creating the rows?
Yes.
And then when we come to the middle blades, they look slightly different. They've got a sort of angle.
When it moves, then it opens. The seed drops, it closes.
Wow. It literally looks like it's swimming in the sand. What is the next part that's coming at the back here?
There is a wheel there.
Okay.
It has a spring there.
Right.
It is a balancing.
So when the ground is uneven, you have the springs on both planters to ensure that the seed is planted at the same level.
Same level.
I see, I see. Yeah, that's very smart technology in a simple looking machine. The spacing bar on the back of the planter can be adjusted to get the exact measurement recommended for the seed being planted. How long would it take before that you had these machines to come and help you doing the job?
You know, when you do manual, it would take maybe 6 or 8 hours to do.
How many people would it take to do the work in those 6 hours?
In manual, so many people.
Right.
Labor is too high. But with this machine, it's only 1.5 hours in a hectare.
Wow. It only takes 1.5 hours to work on about a hectare.
Yes.
Exactly.
But the operation is done by one person.
So what was the quantity of fertilizer and seed that you're using compared to now that you have this very smart tractor?
In manual, it's not done effective because it might drop the fertilizer too much or less.
Okay, so you also run the risk of putting too little, not only too much.
Yes, but with the machine, when you calibrate it, it is the same size.
Right, so the calibration with our tractor and the planters here, we make sure we put all our settings in correctly. Shows that we have just the right amount of seed and just the right amount of fertilizer.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Chirwa. So I'm sure you can agree that this new technology not only works faster than the old ways, but over time, it works out cheaper too.
To those who are afraid for mechanization, they say it is very expensive. It's not expensive because there are NGOs which allow you to pay in bits. You are given maybe a grant of 3 years. I think it's very simple to pay that in 3 years' time. Actually, let them not be afraid.
That's all for today. Next week, we continue to look for ways to cope with climate change through conservation agriculture and other smart methods.